Yeah, this is funny, man. You guys are going to love this. I want you guys to really think about this right here. The Minnesota Timberwolves hosting the Golden State Warriors last night. A blowout loss to the Warriors. The Wolves win 108 to 83. Really wasn't competitive after the first quarter. In fact, the Warriors weren't able to score more than 20 points 3 times in this game in a single quarter. The point totals for the first 3 quarters, 20, 18, and 19. The only time they went over 20 points in a quarter, the final frame, when the Wolves had their largest lead. I'm watching the game. I'm like, why the hell are the Wolves just running away with this game? And they're not even playing well. The Wolves played like ass. But the Warriors were worse because the Warriors' talent didn't play. And that's kind of what I want to go with here. I want to talk a little bit about Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors with Draymond Green, the roster construction, and how the organization is moving. All right, so starting first with who actually played. Steph didn't play, right knee soreness. He's an older player. He's still a fantastic player. Offensively, he's very threatening. I'm not gonna say anything negative or derogatory about Steph Curry. He's at an advanced portion of his career. Games off, nights off. It's gonna happen. Jimmy is out with a torn ACL. He's done for the year and likely most of next year. So that's not even on the cards as to why he didn't play. I think they were also without Jonathan Kuminga, who injured his knee seriously enough to where he's going to miss extended time. So they are talent limited under those conditions. So Draymond sits out with what's being referred to as as back soreness. This franchise, the Golden State Warriors, since Clay's injuries, since the departure of Kevin Durant, since the prominence of one guy, since Draymond became a loudmouth, a problem, what he's done to his teammates, the alienation of the franchise, the organization, him tying himself and hitching himself to Steph, and then leveraging that power by making himself seem disgruntled, angry, a victim. And then Steve Kerr, who just... Man, I really think very highly of Steve Kerr. But just looking at, him not re-signing and not having a contract and not sure about his future, just look at the way that this is happening in Golden State. Like, just look at all this around you. And look at the roster. Because of, the lack of development, the lack of organization within the structure of the team, and value level replacement players who should be developing into these new roles, right? And aged players, and letting the roster just kind of deteriorate in terms of their prominent stars outside of Steph Curry, where Draymond is being exposed. He's not even that old. And you have people saying he's over his prime and else. It's not because he's past his prime, he's old. It's because he was never really that good. People saying that he's a Hall of Famer. I'll never agree with that. I get it. The Basketball Hall of Fame is easy to get into. You guys can have that, fine, whatever. But he's not even playing. And he's not even legitimately injured. This is a guy who acts tough. This is a guy who acts like he's an enforcer. This is a guy who acts like he's so critical and important to this team. But he never plays. When Steph doesn't play. And Kerr is his bitch. And this whole thing is just awful. The Golden State Warriors went from being a model franchise when they had guys who were just doing all the right things. When Steph and Clay and the structure of the team through Kerr and the veteran leadership. Now Draymond is just wreaking havoc on this franchise. The Warriors are at fault. They let this happen. Steve Kerr is at fault. He lets this happen. Steph is at fault. He is the elder statesman representative of the franchise from the player standpoint. He lets these things happen. The whole situation with Kuminga, the poor development of the players who's drafted and who's getting playing time. I mean, they got Gui Santos out there, right? 11 points. Was it Quentin Post was your scoring leader? 13 points. Pat Spencer, 10. Brandon Podziemski, 12 points. 4 of 13 shooting. Because those are role players. Those are basic Jags. You could find that level replacement on any team, in any draft position, on any roster. You rolled out all these guys because Draymond doesn't want to play unless Curry plays. Because Kerr doesn't want to coach under conditions that are unfavorable, right? He doesn't want to have confrontation with Draymond. He's afraid. You know, it is so sad to see what has happened to this team. And it's too late. Like, Steph's in the twilight of his career. And that's not really going to change. And I don't think he goes anywhere. I mean, that doesn't look good. I think he wants to retire a Warrior. But this whole thing, they become a joke. This is a play-in team at best. If Steph is able to play an adequate amount of games, Draymond can do his job. Because remember, he can't raise his level. He can't raise other people's level. Everybody acts like he's this phenomenal facilitator. What else is he going to do? If he can't do that, what does he do on the floor since he can't create offense for himself? Since he can't be a knockdown shooter? Since he can't be a real offensive threat, he has to give the ball to others. And not in a form like you would see from a traditional point guard. Traditional point guards are always a threat to score. Meanwhile, distributing, facilitating offense. It's crazy to see what's happened to the Warriors. They need to get into rebuild mode quickly. Find the replacement coach to come in and right the ship. Maybe get a last couple years out of Steph. He's in great shape. He's doing a nice job of keeping himself relatively available. Maybe squeeze a couple more years out of him. But rebuilding the roster and coaching guys and developing guys probably starts by moving on from Dre. I don't know what the hell is going on. It just looks awful. You already messed up the Jordan Poole situation. Jimmy's done, until next year, whatever. What a terrible way for the year to be going for the Warriors. And tough guy Draymond not playing because Steph's not on the floor. What a joke.